Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Ammo Hour. 10 weeks in, eh? I can't believe that we're at number 10 already. If you're listening for the first time and you've stumbled upon us on Spotify or TuneCore or iTunes, anything like that, you can watch the videos of the interviews as well. And the easiest way to check that out at the moment is to just head to Instagram at the Ammo Hour. It's got a link tree there as we don't have a custom profile URL on YouTube. So that brings me to the next point. Everyone who is watching, there's a good number of you, please subscribe. As soon as I get to 100 there, I can stick on something a little more catchy than the whole of the alphabet. Thanks to everybody who's been joining in so far. It's really incredible to be able to speak with such interesting people from a living room and just have really good conversations and be learning every week from awesome people I respect. Today's guest is Roos De Huu. She's one of the best vocalists I've ever seen live in the kind of heavy genre. Our band Stark, we played with, we came from Wolves, my band, played with on our European tour. And they took to the stage, really humble people beforehand and didn't really know what to expect. And they took the stage and blew it off. Absolutely an incredible sound. I'll link the Bandcamp to them there. It's kind of a mix of like Dillinger Escape Plan, I don't even know, Norma Jean, so much like kind of punk, hardcore, post-hardcore vibes, and her vocals were just absolutely huge. One of the things I ask about in this interview is why they didn't kind of do more, but just a kind of situational thing, I guess, in terms of when they formed that band, where they were in their life, and that can happen. I feel personally with the stuff we're creating just now in my band, we're doing the best stuff we've ever done, and no one's even hearing it because we just don't have the means and time to do what we used to do. Pandemic aside, we'll try and rectify that. But she's also a really clued up woman on a lot of activism subjects, so veganism, human rights, racial equality, and also women's rights. And I said a couple of weeks ago that I was looking to speak with people on this subject to learn more because I'm not educated on it at all, and it's not for women to have to spoon feed anyone information, just the same as it's not for black people to teach me about, you know, race rights and things like that. However, I do want a point of view from people who do know a lot more about the subject than me, so I was really humbled that she would come on to speak about that. But that's not the whole basis of the conversation. She's such a talented musician. She's also a tour manager for the Dutch, you could say, political kind of punk, skate punk kind of band, Antillectual, who are absolutely awesome as well, along the lines of a kind of propagandy. So tour manager, artist in her own right, and then just really clued up on a lot of really good subjects that matter. So yeah, absolutely honoured that she would come on and speak here. It's been a while since we had spoke. We've met maybe twice, but maybe just once in person. We played that show twice, and her band were there both times, but maybe only met her in person once. But like so much of the touring community, when you meet someone once and you have a good connection, as we did, especially with the bassist in Stark, her band, Jasper as well, you just keep these ties up. Like the Parish guys, we've obviously met them a good number of times, but even after the first time, we were always going to keep connected, even if we had never physically met again. So yeah, amazing to be able to check in with people because of this. We've got another couple of episodes in the bag that will come out in the next few weeks, but I really am keen to hear from you. Who do you want to hear more from? I'm lucky enough to have quite a cool network, so I've got a long list, and it's just sussing out, balancing who to ask next. But you know, what have you been enjoying more? Is it the musician ones? Is it people with kind of interesting backgrounds and stories to tell? Is there another type of guest you'd be looking for? All feedback is really taken on board. You can just DM me. You can send voice notes as well if you want anything included in the show. I can add them at the start. all things that I'd like to do as the podcast moves on. Last thing I wanted to touch on, just a wee thought I had just before I recorded this, was I'm a barber by day. Obviously not for the last year really, and we go back to work in a week on Monday. And it's crazy, this, I wonder if anyone else is feeling it, this anxiety, like for the whole pandemic, we've had such a long time off, and loads of times, you know, I've been sitting going, I just want to get back, I just want to be having some normality and stuff. But now things are kind of steaming back into full effect. It kind of feels like, whoa, 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 it's too soon. You know, it's like, I don't know, I would have liked maybe like, you know, a couple of months' notice. I don't know. Is it a human nature thing when I've not been at work for so long? But yeah, I've got some real anxiety about going back to work, and I don't mean like in a lazy sense. You know, I've been keeping my days super busy. Basically, like built a charity football organisation. I've demoed, you know, 30 plus songs several times. I've been out training every single day. So it's not the act of going back to a structured kind of existence. It's it's doing something and being paid money for it. I guess being on show, being judged for your work again. I don't know. There's some weird anxiety issues going on there. So yeah, just wondered if anyone else was feeling that. And I'm pretty sure I already know the answer, that, you know, is very normal. It's been a year, but it's a strange one. So yeah, thanks so much to everyone for listening. As always, you can get 20% off, the big 2-0 discount, from our merch store. We have some awesome t-shirts with a couple of different designs, a really cool hoodie featuring the wolf design and the kind of traditional keys that I have on my neck. All of these are available at our merch store, which is theammocollective.bigcartel.com. Again, that's linked on the Instagram page, which is at the Ammo Hour. And if you just put the Ammo Hour at checkout, you'll get 20% off anything at the store. A lot of people have used that already, and I thank you very much for that, because that has been keeping a little bit of a trickle of income while I've not been able to work. So thanks so much. Thanks for listening again. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. And without further ado, really inspiring woman, it's Roos De Huu. Oh, hi guys, me again. This isn't some weird bonus content. I was literally just away to hit export on the edit here. And I forgot to mention that Rose has some really old school webcam set up. I don't know if that's because she just likes old school things, or she's just not that bothered about a webcam, which is all good. But it does make a weird beeping noise pretty much the whole way through. When someone's not talking, you hear it. But who cares? The conversation's really good. If you're looking for pristine audio and unbelievable visual quality, this isn't the podcast for you. It's all about the context though, so please bear with it. It's a little beep in between some silences. It didn't bother me after 20 seconds. So yeah, if you can keep going with it, thanks a lot. If not, your loss. Cheers. Okay, so I'm here with my friend Roos De Huu, vocalist from Stark and tour manager of Antillectual and other bands. How are you, Rose?
Good.
Feeling well,
yeah? Yeah. Some nice midday coffee.
Yeah, I'm just about to pour mine. Sorry, I kept you waiting there.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Need the coffee. Yeah, it's been a while since we saw each other. I guess this isn't face to face, but as close as you can get. And what a crazy year it's been. How's it been for you? Obviously, been so active in your touring life and stuff. Just been grounded.
Yeah, that's all gone, or paused, maybe is a better word.
Yeah.
It's been very, very impactful. Yeah, not seeing the people, you go through this kind of rhythm during the year where some people you see during the festival season, and you kind of know, like, okay, we won't see each other for 7-8 months, but afterwards, we're gonna get our fix again. And that's just been delayed. Yeah.
Sure. How long is it? Like, how long of your life has been like full-time touring?
Full-time never.
Okay.
Because I've been studying since 2011, and that's, I think, around 2010 I started touring, you know, just as an kind of casual add-on, and then it became clear that I could do stuff. So it's never been full-time, but yeah, so around 10 years on and off. Yeah.
More full on than most, though, I guess, because obviously, like Antillectual do a lot, and you're obviously, you know, as I said, tour managing them, so you need to be on every tour. But did you guys? We'll kind of swing around to Stark in a minute, but did you guys do the touring thing, or was it really just in the Netherlands?
With Antillectual, or
no, with Stark?
With Stark, no. Stark was. We lasted for 4 years until 2019, and we were in the Netherlands. Yeah. Because
that's obviously how we met, and I just wanted to kind of give a wee shout out to Stark, because honestly, like, I have a lot of people on here I respect, and musicians and things like that, but the whole band of Stark, like, because so basically we played this show in Arnhem, my band. We came from Wolves. It was our first time in the Netherlands, and we came over. Everyone was so lovely. Obviously the guys from Sidewalk. There was other bands, I'm sure. And yeah, we met you guys, and especially yourself and Jasper. We started kind of speaking, and Mick on drums. And then your set, you know, you played right before us. You should have played last, to be honest. And you know, you were playing, and you didn't come in with the vocals straight away. So I was still like, right, what's this going to be like? And those guys were so tight and hard hitting, and it was kind of like, you know, Dillinger Escape Plan mixed with more punk. And I was like, wow, this is cool. Then your vocals came in, and I was like, holy shit, you know, I couldn't believe I hadn't heard this before. And I remember speaking to you guys backstage, and you were so like, and this is a nice thing, I think, you were so like relaxed about it. Yeah, we just play now and again, and we've got a demo out. And I was like, what? Why aren't these guys touring? So, I mean, was it just a kind of circumstantial thing that you guys were all in places in your life where you couldn't give it full attention?
Yeah, full-time jobs, families, studying. That just takes a lot of your time, and touring is really a commitment. Yeah. So the mix has to be perfect if you want to do that with a group. Yeah,
we're finding that now. Like, you know, we had all our free time when we were younger, and when, you know, listening back to the stuff, it's not stuff I'm so proud of musically. Obviously, people who liked it, and you'll always get people, but like the stuff we would write when we were kind of coming over and meeting you guys and stuff, that's what I was passionate about. But you're starting to get to that point where you can only maybe do 1 or 2 tours a year, and like life gets in the way, you know.
Yeah.
So you've kind of got.
It's still valuable, I think, because you can. I mean, obviously, it depends on the specific situation. But it's not like if you can only tour 2 or 3 times a year that it's not valuable. You can build on making those tours very good tours.
Of course.
Because, you know, even if you're playing 150, 200 shows outside of your own country every year, if those are only basement shows on a Wednesday where 10 people show up, you know, it's you can kind of
it's like quantity over quality, isn't it?
Yeah, and not to say that all basement shows with 10 people aren't worth it.
No, you know? I know that.
That's not what I mean. But
of course, but like 10 people who love your band, and the promoters really got you on with the right bands and the right city, that's magical. 2 people is magical.
Yes.
You know, people listening in who don't tour, you know, we're not only happy when there's 200 people in the crowd, not at all. Some of the best shows have been 20 people in the crowd. Excellent. But if you're just on in a random place, like at a bar where people don't care about that music, what was the point in booking that show? I get what you mean.
Yeah, 100%. That's the thing behind it, yeah.
And also just like, I guess spiritually, if you like, it fills me up, you know, like my passion levels, you know. I don't want to, like, I've got a beautiful life here, like a beautiful wife, a great family and friends and stuff, but if I've not been on tour, like the day job doesn't give me enough of what I'm
Yeah.
passionate about. And I would love to take these people with me. It's not that I need to escape that, but
Yeah.
I need to be doing the thing I love,
Yeah.
to feel like me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a kind of a creative spark that's very specific, so it's hard to find it anywhere else, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe also the creativity combined with a bit of adventure, or
For sure.
new input, new people. Yeah, it's
For sure. Like even just coming to like Arnhem is like a really small, beautiful little place. There's lots of like, you know, I hate the word hipster, but you know, it's like it's like cool little shops, record shops, coffee shops, you know. That actually inspired me to make a career change, because I was using for like 10 years I was using like office jobs to fund being able to do the band, because you get like 30 days holiday, you get the weekends off and stuff. However, it's soul destroying, obviously. So when I came over and met you guys and then was walking around looking at all these little stores and stuff, genuinely on that first tour, I made the decision, right, I don't care what it is. It could be a coffee shop, it could be this, that. I want to be like in my own environment, my own music, my own boss, if you like. And I went and retrained as a barber, like after that tour, you know, and literally I'm about to sign a lease on my first shop. So it's not overnight thing, you know, but
that's great. Congratulations.
So, thank you. But yeah, I think that just shows like how much you can be inspired by going and meeting new people in new places. Like I never would have went to Arnhem on holiday, not for any reason. It's just not on the posters, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's changed my life, you know, totally. So yeah, I mean, you must have so many stories of inspiration you've got, you know, on being on tour with the guys and.
Yeah. Have you been able to cut hair because of the pandemic, or are you able to do that?
No, it was like maybe 3 months in the middle. They had a kind of, I don't know about Holland, but we had a kind of break in the middle. And then at Christmas they went, no, we need to go back to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been pretty sucky. I've had to be a kept husband. Nick has had to pay all the bills, which isn't great, but we're a team, you know. Everyone's equal. So yeah, it's been hard on her, but obviously nothing I could do. I tried to get other jobs, but you've maybe got like 200 people going for a job in like the post office or the supermarket. So we just had to hang tight and wait for it.
Yeah.
As long as everyone's surviving, you know. What did you guys have to get other jobs in that in the meantime, or?
Well, I used to have a job at the university library, because that was very low impact and it paid well because the hours were odd. But that was a kind of my side job that gave me some stability financially, so I didn't have to worry too much about money. But that kind of became the center of my personal life now, which is really weird because now I'm kind of policing people for their mouth masks and stuff. So I'm very happy that I'm able to have, you know, generate an income for myself. So that's one thing, but at the same time it feels really off and, you know, not feeling like yourself.
Yeah.
And with Antillectual, we did a covers EP at the beginning of 2020, and we had a video planned for the Blondie cover, and we did that, and we were like, okay, everything that is still to be released will just release, you know, because we don't know where it's gonna go. And then, you know, it became apparent that it was very serious and that countries were going in lockdown, etc. And then we try to make the most out of Facebook Live, Instagram Live shows, YouTube shows, stuff like that. But at some point, your means are limited, and you don't want to repeat yourself in the bad sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you kind of, you kind of did what you were able to do there.
Yeah.
And then the summer also came, and people in the Netherlands, it was kind of the same, that in the summer there was a little bit more possible. So kind of the interest for staying at home watching an Instagram live show kind of disappeared, very understandably. So then we kind of decided to not force that. Like, nothing against it, but we're not gonna.
No, 100%. Yeah. I felt like this strange. Excuse me. I kept getting like little requests, like, "Oh, I would love it if you did like a video, like a live video, just go through your set list." And some of the bands I like were doing it, and in theory, it felt amazing to me. I could connect with people. I could sit with a bottle of wine and just have an evening, like not rushing through a set. It all sounded great. But whenever I went to do it, I had this strange anxiety that I've never felt before. And I don't know if it was because it felt like everybody would be watching, because like in normal times, doing a little acoustic video is fine. It's just your fans. I think it felt to me that like, this is all people have right now. It's got to be like this great live show. And
it has to be good.
Yeah. I didn't do one. I just felt like crippled with anxiety. So it's so strange. But we did spend a lot of time, like I set myself this challenge to do like a brand new song a day for 10 days. So I did that, and then I demoed like 30 of the tunes for our new album, and then did some vocals for other projects. So I was keeping like busy, but to like our fans, if you like, we did nothing. It's all behind the scenes. So I look forward to actually being able to show them what we've been doing,
Exactly. And I think it will be. I understand how you're feeling, but everyone gets how weird of a period this is. So I think it will be rewarding to release something when it feels right for you. And like 30 demos, wow.
Yeah, but they're not all good demos.
I heard it. But...
There's maybe 10 there. Who knows?
10's perfect.
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah,
good.
for sure.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you.
So yeah.
Do you actually manage Antillectual fully, or is it just on the road?
No, just on the road. And I mean, we started to call me a tour manager also just to, it sounds weird, but just so I would have a function. So you didn't have to go, yeah, I'm involved in some creative stuff, but then also this, and I drive and I interfere with this and that, it's too much.
Yeah.
So I'm just an invested tour manager, I'd say. Yeah.
It's a super important role, though. Like we've taken different friends over the time, just even at first, just to have somebody else to drive and somebody to watch the merch as you play. Even if it was those two functions alone, again, to people who don't tour, that sounds like just a favor. But every single night, having that responsibility with the guys are having a beer, and they're not like Blink-182 slacking off, like having a beer because they need to relax and give the crowd a good show. And it's an important role. And then obviously that then develops because you're looking at your budget, you're making sure timings are right, you're speaking with the loading people so that the band can just go and warm up. And it's not just a title, it is a harder job than people would probably think. But did you ever think that you might kind of pick up something creative yourself again, or are you quite happy in your role?
I'm really, I really enjoy singing, and I've been taking singing lessons because I kind of misused my voice with Stark. So I've also been doing clean stuff, and I did like guest vocals at the beginning of last year for Smash the Statues, who were doing a benefit cover of Petrol Girls for Solidarity Not Silence, which was very nice. And then some clean guest vocals on a track for Ink Bomb, which will be released in the next 2 months, I believe. Nice. Maybe it depends on the final pressing process, but and I was, like everyone, you're kind of confined to one room. So then at some point the singing lessons weren't possible anymore. So that kind of created a vacuum. And then I decided to install Reaper and see if I could do anything with it. So I've been just kind of playing around with it. I'm not very good at it, but just picking up like the basic skills. Mm-hmm. And I've been just recording some covers for myself, just to get the hang of it.
Nice.
Which is more folky stuff, like Hosier covers, Florence and the Machine stuff.
Cool.
So yeah, a whole new thing, but sometimes it's a bit easier to sing clean in your own room instead of screaming all the time. Nothing against that, but
no, 100%. If I'm going and doing demos, I'm really lucky through a family friend. There's this little like cottage up in the Highlands.
Oh, great.
I take it's like no frills. It's not this beautiful, it's very old school, but it's in the middle of nowhere, deer in the garden, a loft, mountains. So when I need to do like demos, I'll try and do as much of the guitar work plugged into my interface. And then when I've got like maybe 15, I'll take like a 3-hour train and go and scream to my heart's content. Because it's just the deer that are annoyed,
Yeah. And
so
it's even,
I'm lucky to have that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also, sometimes I feel like it's more about mindset than anything else, really.
Yes.
But still, if it works for you to, go away, go to a cottage, go to a rehearsal space, scream when no one else is home.
Yeah.
Make use of it. Yeah.
I don't know how people can do it with people in the house. I mean, I've had to before just to get an idea to the guys, but like when you're a vocalist, you'll be the same. You don't just record the first couple of takes, you're really trying to get every single phrasing correct and have options to choose from. So you spend a couple of hours, and I live in a flat, I've got neighbors above and below, and it's not gonna work. So
no, I can imagine.
It's tough with no practice rooms, but So do you think you'll kind of do some stuff yourself, like some solo stuff, more clean stuff in the future?
Maybe, I'm not against it. I'm keeping everything open. I'm also painting again and drawing, so I don't really care at this point as long as something creative is going on, because I have the same feeling that just to stay home and have your world be so small and only being able to do a job that doesn't really resonate with you, it eats away at your soul. And it's fine, and I don't feel too good for anything, but after a year of not being able to be yourself, you need a creative outlet, at least me personally. So,
no, 100%, yeah.
And I decided to not judge myself anymore for whatever comes out. If it's a drawing, it's a drawing.
Cool.
If it's fumbling around with Reaper, it's that for that day. As long as as something is going on, then I'm fine. Yeah.
That's a great outlook. I need to learn some of that. I'm like, no.
Well, it took me some time.
Yeah. Getting the balance correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on that first meeting when I met you guys in Arnhem, I think all the bands, maybe not every member, but all the bands that night, especially not every member of my group, they seemed to have people who were like vegan, who were kind of into the punk scene, who were into the kind of activism scene. I know, obviously, Antillectual are a political band.
Yeah.
You've said there you've done some work for the charity Solidarity Over Silence. So is that something like activism or standing up for your beliefs and stuff? Is that something you were raised to be, or did you find that early on? Like,
yeah, I remember. I remember being like around 9 or 10. Yeah, it was definitely a bit before high school. And I went out into the city center of Arnhem, and I was collecting money for PETA.
oh, nice.
You know, the yeah.
Anti-animal cruelty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, people for the ethical treatment of animals, I think.
Yeah.
And obviously there has been some, you know, critiques about them, but you know, for being 9 or whatever, and I don't know, it got me so mad. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna collect money, and then people wouldn't take me seriously because they were like, you don't have to lie about doing this for a good cause. You can just, you know, have some money for ice cream. There you go. And that would make me even madder.
Yeah. Like, I don't want ice cream.
Yeah.
I want sorbet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I think parts of some parts were early on not eating meat. But obviously, of course, there has been a lot of stuff that had to grow, and you know, has to dawn on you, and yeah. So I think, you know, working with bands who I connect with in that way is really helpful for me, and just creating your own personal life in the best way you can, because you cannot do everything.
yeah, correct.
Just do the best you can. I believe in that. So yeah.
100%. Yeah, it's all about intention, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because yeah, I would say like with a lot of things in the world, I would say like mainland Europe is, I mean, maybe not every country, but certainly a lot of the West and North is much more advanced with like veganism and stuff. You know, when we were touring in like 2018 around the Netherlands and Germany and France, you know, there's a lot more in the supermarkets and stuff. Like Scotland and the UK is, you know, catching up now slowly, but at the time, like having a chat with you guys, I was the only, you know, vegan in my band at the time. It's now a second one, which is great. But yeah, just chatting with you guys, it was like awesome, because I hadn't really had those conversations in musical circles, you know.
Yeah.
It was usually guys that, you know, would like maybe like laugh at that, you know, when I'm on the rider and no one's got anything at this little English venue, so I'm just having chips for dinner and stuff, you know. But yeah, I was new to it, but it was really cool to obviously be around, like you say, around those peers, and you can share ideas and figure out. So obviously we've chatted a wee bit before we came on here. I would never like ask a woman to be able to educate men. Like that's not how we fix these issues. But I did want your take because, again, spanning back to that first meeting, as we were getting the ferry, that was our last night of tour. We stayed with Jasper, and then got the ferry home the next day. And I remember just checking social media while we were having some beers, and the sun was set, and it was beautiful. It was a lovely end to tour on the ferry. I remember checking social media just before we cut out, you know, said to my wife, we were on our way home and this and that. And the Me Too movement had just broke.
Yeah.
It was like not when we were the day playing that show, it was the day after. Because I remember seeing like, you know, I don't want to like name names, but like I remember seeing like people I love and know and went to school with and in my family and like people I'd met on that tour all just saying me too. And I was like, holy shit, this is like every woman I know, basically, in some form of another. And I think people took notice at that time, and quite rightly, a lot of people, celebrities and stuff, were called out and cancelled and stuff like that. And then it kind of just died again. You know, I think that the spotlight was off it. Maybe not at the grassroots. But I mean, for the everyday person, they probably it was up here, and then it was kind of yesterday's news, which isn't right. And then recently, this, I don't know if you've seen in the UK, the Sarah Everard case.
Yeah.
Absolutely tragic. And I think that touched a nerve with so many people because it wasn't only just some horrible, horrible event and horrible person doing this. It was somebody who should be in a position of trust. Yeah. And obviously, it's another conversation for the mistrust of police all over the world and stuff, you know.
Definitely.
I cannot say that all cops are bastards. I don't believe that. You know, like there are good people in anything. Tarring everybody with the same brush, I think, is an issue. But again, there is a massive misuse of trust. But having that somebody in that position do that, I think, has really just opened eyes again to this issue. And after speaking with my wife, I realised I was actually part of the problem as well, because I'm obviously not posting this or shouting about this, but, you know, I'm like, yeah, of course, but it can happen to men too. I've now realised, like, but why is that the response? Why do we feel the need to, nobody's attacking me. They're just saying that the people who are attacking people are men.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a long intro, but like, obviously you're someone that's switched on to activism and a lot of these charities and fundraisers and things like that. Like, how do we break through it? How do we learn? How do the people who are the issue, how can we be better? Do you have any kind of ideas? It's not for you to give me answers, obviously, but.
Well, it's like having conversations like this is obviously the first step. Also, the mental health conversations you were having, you know, men and mental health. I think that also might be another side of the same coin.
Yeah.
So that's a good start, and I think if you feel that kind of response, the thing you can do immediately is to go, well, okay, apparently something is going on, and then investigate that. Because you cannot, you know, that in that first instance, not have that feeling, not have that thought. That's not possible. It's there, so then investigate it.
Yeah.
And the way to do that is to try to postpone judgment, and then look into where it came from, you know, both on your own side and in response to what other people have said. Because I think a lot of the times what people are saying is more nuanced, and this knee-jerk reaction is kind of a very broad, how do you say that? Broad and general reaction. And often if you look into the case or look into what someone meant when they said what caused your knee-jerk reaction, then there is a lot more understanding possible, and it makes more sense. Because often people who are saying Me Too or posting about their experiences or addressing them, it's not the first time.
Yeah.
It's not the first time. They might have tried, you know, in a gentler way before, but no one listened, etc., etc. So it's an add up. And I think that's an important realization to have when
100, yeah,
yeah
100%. I mean, obviously, when I don't want to bring myself to think that I'm not listening or don't believe, like I'm not on that spectrum. But I do think it's I have to be, if I want to try and lead change in my circles, which is what anyone who cares has to do on any subject, I need to be totally honest, you know. So
yeah
like, I don't know if you've seen any of my posts and stuff, but like basically my whole family is female, you know, like I grown
yeah
up being like the guy in the house, like
yeah
having to like defend myself for like the guy traits in the house, you know, loads of sisters and mums and aunties and cousins and grannies all looking after you. So yeah, I think sometimes it's just like, you know, in a house you have debate and it's like all this happens to women. You're like, yeah, all these things happen to guys too. But then when it's something like this and you have the reaction, it's not that you're saying the women aren't right. I mean, some guys are, and they are really the issue. I'm not saying like women aren't right and aren't to be believed. What my thing was, yeah, but come on, guys, I'm not an attacker and stuff like that.
yeah
But then I realized from speaking with my wife, who just told me straight, but that's part of the problem. Like,
yeah
no one's saying you are. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah
it's
yeah
clear you love like the women in your life, like you cherish them, like you don't see any inequality in how you treat them. But the problem is, why are you making this about you? Why are you defending yourself? No one's attacking you. People are attacking women.
yeah
You know?
yeah and the thing is, which is which is a bit of a gap, because if you personally, you know, don't hold those beliefs, you still, we're all kind of placed in a world where culturally there are a lot of structures already going on.
Yeah.
You know, they're historical. Some people are actively working to keep them there. So, you know, you're not thrown into a neutral world.
Yeah.
And that doesn't only go for gender, obviously. But the fact that you are, you know, male presenting and maybe walking down the street, and, you know, you need to go the same way as a woman in front of you, and you're following her with no ill intention.
Yeah.
And for your own, you know, your own thought processes, I'm going that way. This is just a person in my life, whatever, it doesn't matter. Because of those cultural structures and previous experiences of maybe of the woman walking in front of you in this case, the situation might be very much interpreted differently. And are you actively doing something wrong out of ill will? No. You know, that's not the point there. But does it cause a lot of stress because of the structures that are already there? Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And that's where there is this kind of disconnect between what is totally personal and kind of the cultural and cultural, historical, social aspect.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's where it often goes wrong.
Yeah, because it costs nothing to just like cross the street and walk along. Like, I know I'm a big friendly guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, however, I'm 6'2" and I have neck tattoos.
Yeah.
You know, and I've
Yeah.
got holes in my ears. So I know who I am, but that stranger doesn't know who I am.
Exactly.
You know, and you don't walk around smiling, so you know you could just be walking and looking like a threat, really, if we're getting to the bottom of it. And why wouldn't you just do the simple thing to at least give more assurances to the person you're not a threat?
Yeah.
You know?
And that starts with beginning to listen, because you know, if someone addresses this kind of thing, you know, walking the street at night as a woman, or maybe as a trans person, and your first reaction is like, yeah, but not all men, not me, then it would be the case like, okay, but if someone doesn't know me, then still culturally I have a certain role or a probable role, and that's where the pain is, I think.
100%. Yeah, no, and I'm I hate the fact that it's taken something so tragic for me to start to. I mean, there's little things like that. You know, my mum and my gran brought me up not to do that anyway. So like cross the street, stuff like that. But you know, maybe wider than that, I haven't been so switched on to it. So it's a shame that something so tragic has had to happen. But I'm glad that I'm listening now. You know, more. And I don't feel the need to. I addressed it in a little intro, and I don't want to like just regurgitate stuff because, you know, you're a great guest here, and I'm, you know, intelligent enough. I don't need to just repeat myself all the time. But it was an intro. It wasn't an interview. That I think maybe, guys. I don't mean me. I don't want to bring all this heat to me, but I'm big enough to take it. That's fine. But like, you know, the average white male, and this isn't a sob story here, but like we are painted as like the wanted poster right now, you know what I mean? Obviously, like race issues massively need to be shown. I stand up with them, like I am on board with that, but like the white man is the issue, like these female things, the white man is the issue, you know, with trans or gay rights and things. Who are the people that are the enemy of that? It's this conservative right wing is a white man. So I think sometimes the people who don't feel like that, who are sensitive people, who are on the left, who do care about equal rights for people, who we feel like the reaction is, hey man, that's not me.
Yeah.
But we need to realize, like, you don't need to have the voice. Like, just be the ally. That's the best way to say, hey, that isn't me. Not to try and like get in the conversation and put your voice at the top, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a good consideration, and also I think the concept of intersectionality also works here, and I know that intersectionality is also kind of becoming a buzzword, but it still is very valuable, I think, because it describes how different pieces of your identity can intersect, and that those different intersections can have different outcomes. And I
Sorry,
think...
Rose, what is... just my ignorance. I've not heard intersectionality.
No,
like,
sorry.
No, that's cool. Just
it's a legal term, really, and it's been coined in 1989, I think, by Kimberly Crenshaw, and she was working in law, and she realized that it wasn't, you know, between being a white woman or a black woman, it didn't only matter, your race didn't only matter, but also, for instance, your social class, your sexuality. And often this is kind of ridiculed into like, oh yeah, if you're a black lesbian woman in a wheelchair, then you lost, or you won in saw points or whatever. And I think that's not what that should be used for, obviously, but it is a concept used to describe how different pieces of your identity can kind of, you know, intertwine and decide where you stand in life. And I think like kind of the example you gave, like if for a lot of issues the arrows are kind of pointed at the cis white man. What is often forgotten is that with that identity, there are different facets. So the fact that you're white and cis and male gives you some sort of advantage, but it doesn't mean that maybe you're from a poorer class.
Yeah.
And I think to be able to kind of dissect identities in a bit more factors makes it easier to acknowledge that, okay, in that one facet, I'm very lucky, I'm privileged, but then in another corner, not so much. And then it becomes easier to, if there's issues at stake, for instance, walking the street at night as a white cis male, you can maybe go like, okay, my class maybe doesn't have so much to do with this, so I don't have to bring that up right now.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
This is a very long answer.
No. I asked you for it. No, that I've learned that now. So, no, that's great. Yeah. So, yeah, you don't need to feel the chip on your shoulder at that immediate point, because the immediate point there is a woman feels threatened. Yeah. So, leave your shit at the door for another day. But also, what I get from that is that people could be a bit more engaged. So, the right wing seem to target the poorer classes a lot because it's easy. We've seen it from World War II, maybe earlier. Obviously, I'm not a historian for a living, but World War I and II probably. Right, the German leaders saying, everyone's basically getting screwed over here because of immigrants, and we see that happen with Brexit. Like England, it's the poorer class places that are given all the powers to this right wing, Etonian royalist, like rich upper class parties, and it's crazy. So maybe that theory that you're talking about there, if more people know about that, these poor class people can actually align themselves and realize that the oppressed people in any way, like whether it's through race or gender or sexuality, they're getting messed over just like you are. So everybody's maybe they can use that to kind of come together rather than being fooled by the people in control, really try to turn everyone against each other,
Yeah, I don't want to be like pushing theories and concepts down anyone's throats.
No.
But yeah, sorry. Yeah, at the core, I really agree. And I also hope that there will be working class parties again, because the Dutch elections just happened like 10 days ago, and kind of the same thing happened, where the only ones who are saying like, okay, your manual labor job is still relevant right now, are kind of shitty parties, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the other parties are either concerned with people with more money, or are only saying your job is going to disappear because of climate change.
Yeah.
Which is a valid point, but you cannot just dump a whole generation of manual laborers, So, yeah.
I feel kind of in a weird position politically in our country because I feel really lucky that the party in power in Scotland, led by Nicola Sturgeon, it's not perfect. No party is. You've got to trade off things, but the amount of things we still get the media leading some people to think they're not a good party, and it's unfortunate because when they created the party way back in the 70s, I believe, it's got the word nationalist in it, which obviously is not great PR these days. But obviously that's the Germans used the word nationalist. It wasn't a terrible word at the time. It was like, you're going to focus on essentially community, the people in the country first, and make change from there. But they adopted that and gave it obviously a terrible name. However, we're England doesn't do all these things that Scotland does. We give money and get less back from our resources, which happens nowhere in the world. We're still like a lapdog, We have free sanitary products for women under a certain age, free baby boxes, free tuition at schools, renewable, all this stuff. Yet there's some people, the working class, in Scotland, it's like kind of based on religion.
Yeah.
Protestant, Catholic, even though loads of people who vote yes and no don't care about any of that, a lot of them are still voting for the Queen because they feel that this Protestant religion is like all linked to that, and it's a bit of a mess. So yeah, on one hand, I'm really happy with the politics we have in Scotland, but we don't have full freedom yet, and we need to achieve that if we're going to make the most of that,
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, try and be leaders, really. It's a small place, but like a lot of the Scandinavian countries, and if we can show it working here, that's why when somebody says to me, like, why do you want to pull away? We need to be like a world that looks after everybody. Of course we do. But like, how could I come on here, Rose, and speak with you about all these things if I wasn't living it in my house, in my community, and trying to help people in the little ways that I would with the food bank and stuff like that? You can't just try and make a change in Spain if you're not doing it in your community.
Yeah, definitely. And I think community and union, they can go hand in hand.
Definitely, 100%.
It's not really as either or as it's presented to be. Yeah.
There's was it you guys or was it Sidewalk that had the song about, is it Schwarzpeter? Black Peter?
Oh, yeah, that was us. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really, really interesting. Like, for people that, like, for people, and this is, by the way, like, in no way am I trying to shine a negative light on the Netherlands. Like, there's more parties than, like, in Scotland and stuff like that, but we have massive issues on loads of things as well. And I mean, we're attached to the royals. I mean, you don't need any more like horrible right-wing stories than what they conjure up. But yeah, there's this strange thing in the Netherlands at Christmas, isn't there, where they still like basically do blackface, and it's like Santa's helper.
Yeah.
And yeah, you wrote a great song. I'll link everybody up to the band, to your band Stark, after this. But yeah, everybody in that dressing room that night was kind of discussing that, the guys from Sidewalk and stuff like that. And yeah, it's crazy that still happens, isn't it, in this day and age?
Yeah, and it's really, this has been a really big divide in the Netherlands, because it became, sometimes issues become, how do you say that? A kind of an idolized thing where you're like, it stands for a lot of other things.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of...
Sorry, I can imagine the right wing think, well, if they take Black Peter, what are they going to take next?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm not allowed to be Dutch. These globalists are only listening to minorities, and they're taking everything away that makes, our little piece of the world just that, and it's very interesting because there's been a lot of critique about identity politics, which, nothing is holy, I think. So it's important to stay critical, but it's ironic that a lot of people who are that critical about identity politics are very much, using it themselves to make a kind of reactionary point. And that's what has happened with Black Pete. Yeah, it's become a symbol for all those things I mentioned before.
I think it goes back to like what you were saying there. Sorry to jump in. It's a slight delay. But yeah, I think it goes to what you were saying before. Like, I get it. Like, there's a tradition there, and you know, when you were young, when these people were younger, they weren't necessarily being racist. Well, they were, but they didn't know they were being racist. You know, and
same thing.
Yeah, but like, it's not going to hurt you or change your life to just stop it. To listen to the people who are hurt by it and say, okay, we got it wrong. I didn't mean it. I hope you accept that. And now we'll make, you know, recompense for it.
Yeah.
To just say, no, we're going to keep doing it. Well, now you are being racist and you are aware of it. Now your ignorance is not an excuse.
Exactly. And the funny thing is that if you look at the whole, it's actually a holiday a bit before Christmas. And if you look at that whole tradition, there's a lot more to it, you know. There's Saint Nicholas, who's coming by boat from Spain, and he's bringing stuff, and you know, there's this whole narrative, but it's been like shrunk into Black Pete. So if Black Pete disappears, then everything disappears. Yeah. And that's just not true. And I think, I'm really gonna sound like a leftist hippie child now. But if we
are leftists, that's all right.
If we would focus in this case at the stuff that is there and invest in that, you know, grow that, make that bigger, then we just would have evolved.
Exactly. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the people who really, really want to hold on to the tradition, is it not just like, rather than the Coca-Cola idea of Santa going down the chimney, it's like he's got his helper that goes down? Like, it could just be like a guy with some coal on his jacket.
Anyone. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it's a shit argument to say, oh, well, you're getting rid of him. No, we're not getting rid of him, but it's not appropriate to paint somebody as a black person, you know.
And claim that it's not racial features, because for people who don't know, it's like full-on blackface. The claim is that it's someone going down a chimney, and that's why the helper is black. But then there's all these racial elements like curly hair, red lips, full blackface, golden earrings. Mm-hmm. So, and if you look back at Dutch history and paintings from the slave trade period, then you really recognize them as those helpers. Shouldn't say that. They're slaves, but they're slaves to upper class people. That's why they're dressed like that. And so the claim is, no, it's not racial. And then people go like, come on, you cannot actually claim that this person looks this way because they went down a chimney.
It's just I really hope, I think we've seen, this is what gives me hope. I think we've seen in honestly the last 10 years, whether it's veganism, whether it's environmentalism, whether it's like black rights being coming to the fore, trans rights, how acceptable it is compared to when we were at high school already. It's nowhere near where it needs to be. Nobody's saying that, and we cannot stop. We can't let the foot off the gas. But it's easy to just get so angry about things.
I know.
I think it's going in the right way at the very least, but there's a lot more work to do. We can't stop, you know.
No, definitely. And I get hopeless every now and then as well. And then I realize that sometimes, for me personally, it has to do with scale. Because sometimes I get so frustrated about what our parliament looks like, for instance. But I know that just as myself, I can only, and as a citizen, I can only vote every 4 years probably, you know? Mm-hmm. So do that when you can do it. In the meantime, you can support a political party who is, you know, who practice what they preach, etc. But a lot of the times, the only things you can do is whatever you choose in the supermarket.
Yeah.
Hold your friends accountable in a constructive way. You know, and sometimes that feels daunting because it feels like the smallest thing, but it's the only way forward, I would say. And just realize when you do have influence and then use it. But yeah.
No, I think those small changes amount to a lot, though. You know, especially like you talk about in the supermarket, they don't stock vegan items at the ever-growing scale they are because no one's buying it. You know,
right.
The only reason they do that, and that's fine. You know, like I don't go to KFC when they have the vegan burger because they still do all this. However, if they've put that on their menu and more people buy that, eventually they'll put something else on the menu. Maybe eventually they'll say we don't need to.
Yeah.
It won't be because they're compassionate. It just doesn't make sense to do that to the chickens anymore when they can. So, you know, any change is good change. I see that. I don't like to criticize when positive things happen, but not enough. You know, it's a journey. You know, it's a journey.
And it's a battle on different fronts because sometimes you just have to accept you live in a capitalist world. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to pay for stuff sometimes at shops you really don't like. But then within that spectrum, make the best choice you can. That's
for sure.
Yeah.
And I think you know, as your position as someone that's so respected in kind of a pretty male-dominant world, like, you know, hardcore music or punk music, and then, you know, as an artist yourself, as a tour manager, you know, your little changes will have bigger waves than maybe you realize, you know, because you're a position of influence. And I'm not saying that's something you work for or have asked for. It's just through being yourself. So yeah, I think just keep doing what you're doing, and those little changes will snowball. And that goes for everybody who's got a little position, you know.
And I just for instance, sometimes people ask, you know, bands go like, yeah, we're all men, we realize, but what can we do? And I just found out a super nice, she calls it her diversity resources web page, and it's a website of Ghostlight Productions by Lotje Horvers, and she's a tour manager, and she compiled like this seemingly endless list of resources if you maybe want to hire audio producers who aren't male, but also a list for non-white people in the music business. You know, so that list, I will send you the link as well, because I think sometimes you just want to have the concrete tools to make a change, because sometimes it's very daunting, and that can make it easier. You know, if you are starting to book tours again, then maybe ask someone that you didn't ask before, or didn't have the chance before, or you didn't know before. But sometimes you can influence the diversity in your own surroundings.
For sure. So, no, that'd be great. And I'll ask you offline to just send me any links of, you know, things we've talked about today, anything that you might think somebody listening might want to check out, and I'll be happy to link all those, obviously. But no, that sounds amazing. So just to wrap up, what's your plans moving forward? Are you just seeing out the rest of this lockdown? Are you making plans to tour again, or?
Well, I'm writing my thesis for my master's degree, and I'm gonna finish by June, I hope. And then afterwards, I really hope that there's some productions going on again.
Yeah.
And we get to sing and build and work again.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to it. And you?
So yeah, we've just we've been working on finalising the demos, speaking with a producer. So he'll come when we can book it in. He'll come up to Scotland and we'll do some pre-production, and then we'll go down and do our second album in England. But the first time we've been like a residential place, so we'll be just booking out 2 weeks and just like recording like dusk till dawn, hopefully. And yeah, it's something I'm really excited about doing. And then I just want to tour a little bit more as well, you know, getting a bit older. So who knows when, you know, I hope it's not something I need to give up one day, but obviously things happen in life. So
while you have the chance, do it.
Exactly. I miss it so much. I miss just coming over and meeting like-minded people. And I really want to bring my wife as well, you know, sometimes, you know, it's like, it's not glamorous. You're lying on a floor and stuff. And that's probably why you don't offer to take people. But like, I tell her about the places we've been, you know, and I know she'd get on great with like guys like you and Jasper and the people we've met in France and Germany. And it'd be nice to do it collaboratively.
Yeah.
So yeah, need to make some plans really.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I hope you already have joy from thinking about it. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
And you as well.
Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time, Rose. It's been great to chat to you.
You too.
Thank you. And yeah, I'll speak to you offline. We'll get the links and everything for the page. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a lovely day. See you. Bye.